Why is remote tuning great? What's the benefit to remote tuning?
At the end of the day, we can help somebody that's miles and miles away. I don't care if you're in California, Brazil, Australia.
But you log in and you can actually tap into somebody's engine and see what's happening then.
Absolutely. Yeah. So every customer that is an engine customer of ours, we offer that as a service extended after the sale. So get it all in, you get it all wired up, and you think you're ready to hit the key. We encourage you to reach out to us, just set up an appointment and initiate the first startup so we can monitor a few things.
See, that's a really good point, because I'm not an engine guy. That's why I would be coming to you, right? I can do the install, I can turn wrenches, I can bolt the thing into place, but then I want to get it. You use the term initial startup, right? Get that thing fired up. And then what? I want to take it out on the road and go drive. Can you remotely tweak things while I'm driving? How does that work?
Generally, to give you an idea how the process goes, we'll do the initial startup, and I'm letting it come up to temperature. So I want the engine bone cold so I can see from initial start, how long does it take cranking to fire. After it fires in the first second, I'm looking at a specific O2 reading. And for the next 14 to 20 seconds, I'm also watching that closely, because there's what they call startup enrichment and after start enrichment. So it's a window of 20 seconds. And if the engine started, say, in the first 20 seconds and it's running extremely rich, that's going to be in a table that is not what they call self-learning. It will not learn that. That is a user input. So monitoring that, I would make some small adjustments. We let it come to operating temperature, kind of neat, saying everything's going just fine. We're just monitoring it. And assuming everything goes well there, at that point, if it's roadworthy, I tell them, go drive it. Just go drive it normal. I mean, if you want to run it hard, you can, but just drive it normal. And when you get back, it could be 15, 20 minutes later, we'll link right back up and we'll look at the learn table. And that learn table is going to kind of tell me some things about what is the trend in the vehicle. Is it trying to remove fuel or is it trying to add fuel? And we can make some adjustments from there.
Now, I've seen on some of these systems that they've got the little plug-in, little handheld little thing, and you punch a couple of codes in there. You're way above that, right? There's got to be the benefit to using a full computer.
Right. Oh, huge benefits. So, and we'll show you a little bit about that. They've marketed these systems in a way that self-learning. So you put your basic information in the handheld, start it up, and it will learn as you go and get better as you drive it. And that is completely true to a certain point. But the hard points of tuning I mentioned before are user interface. So although it's self-learning, we have to understand that every engine likes a certain air fuel ratio. They all like something a little different. And it will only learn to what we tell it to target. So it's very important that the user understands what to tell it to target. So if they're targeting 12 to 1, that thing's going to run rich all the time. You might as well have bought a carburetor. But certain engines, we could have something that's got a really big camshaft. This is another topic of discussion, is that, too much cam, or I need a camshaft that's EFI friendly. Well, that's not really true. We just have to understand what's going on and what's coming out the exhaust after combustion happens. And if there is overlap and there's fresh air going out the exhaust, then what's actually happening in the chamber is probably, we'll just say it could be ideal. So we might need to target a much leaner than normal air fuel ratio. So like something with a big cam, I'm usually targeting somewhere 16 to 1, because some fresh air is going out the exhaust. But in reality, it's actually running at 13.8 or 14 in the chamber. And how you know that is always rely on the spark plug. At the end of the day, all these sensors are great, but let the engine tell you what it likes. I mean, if it's black smoking, it's rich. It doesn't really matter what the oxygen sensor is telling you. But let's take a closer look at really what the laptop allows us to dig into a little bit deeper.
All right, welcome to my office. So, I'm going to show you the software on the Terminator X, and I'm not going to get really deep here, but I'm just going to give you an example of what can happen in the car. So, you know, a lot of guys will mention, I'm not looking for a race car, or I'm not looking for, you know, the most power, or whatever that might be, and that's fine. I've mentioned it before about, you know, drivability, idle quality when cold start, deceleration, a lot of different, you know, areas. Okay, so now that we're looking at the map, I'm going to highlight an area of a traditional, more traditional engine package and camshaft. So basically it's going to idle in this area roughly if we have somewhere between 7 and 12 inches of vacuum, we'll say. So the point here is, I'll just pick a spot. This may be where it idles, this little square. For instance, if we are driving and cruising, as we drive and cruise, we're going to be down in this area. When we let off the throttle pedal and it's decelerating, you'll see this will have a bubble that traces this map. It's going to fall because it's going to pick up vacuum on decel, come through this area, and let's just say this area has too much fuel on deceleration. Well, we can change that. We can take fuel out there, but the point is as it dips here, it may fall and get gurgly, and as it's returning back to idle, if the engine is not happy, the idle air control motor can only do so much. It may pass the target idle point and fall up here, because now the motor's not happy, it has less vacuum. If there's more fuel up here, which traditionally there is, the motor's probably going to stall. So I would give you an example of a guy that's cruising at 45 miles an hour. He's going to be getting ready to stop. He just pushes in the clutch. When that happens and that tracer falls, it's possible that the thing will just stall. Or if we're at idle, we're holding the brake and we just do a quick rev or try to spin the tire real quick, it'll jump straight up, and if there's a little too much fuel here, when it falls back down, the same thing happens. It'll stall. So on a ProFlow, you can't look at these numbers. You can't change those numbers. And the one key factor is it will not learn when it's in deceleration. So if these fuel numbers down here are too large, or if it falls into fuel numbers up at the top that are too large, it will not learn that trend. So it's very difficult to get that engine to quit stalling.
Hey, you know, we've talked a lot about fuel injection and how important it is. I mean, obviously it's great for fuel, it's great for, you know, ignition, but any other benefits to using EFI?
Probably the biggest one, if we're doing a transmission package with you, the ProFlow does not have transmission control option. By simply clicking this toolbox, adding a configuration, we can add an automatic transmission config. Now you'll see at the top there's a shifter. Well, now we have full control of GM transmissions, Ford transmissions, Chryslers. So more flexibility. The reason, so $1,000, we have tunability, remote access, service after the sale, transmission function. We could also even add a config for nitrous. So let's just say, you know, or boosted, but nitrous is another one. So the neat thing again is there's a nitrous bottle at the top. So very, very, very configurable for a minimal upgrade cost.
It's Doug Aitken. He's the president over there at Prestige Motorsports. He's been talking about remote tuning today. So not only can you build us a sweet motor, send it out, all those beautiful crates you guys send things out in, we can get it installed. And then even after it's out of your hands, you can still work your magic on it. That's super impressive, Doug.
Excellent. Appreciate it.